Salman is a very dear friend, and I wanted to work with him after Padmavat. So when we worked, when Inshallah didn't happen, we were both heartbroken. But when Gangubai happened, I didn't realize I was working with. I knew I was working with a good actor. I had once asked Lataji, I said, Lataji, that one song you took, that one place, which is very nice, with jagah apne li, bahut achhi thi wo. Sometimes you hear from people. Alia is one actor who just is liberating, and for the director, because I feel I can do anything with her. In childhood, I remember Kamatipura as going to school every day through those lanes. Sometimes when I get happy, I give a 500 का note and say, ये 500 का note बहुत अच्छा shot दिया.
So we've taken a few fan questions on Twitter. I think that they're really fascinating. Let's see what people are talking about the film. And apart from that, this is Sanyukta from Mumbai. So please ask SLB, which scene in Gangubai Kathiawadi was the toughest to shoot? Also, how his opinion about Alia Bhatt has changed after the film?
Alia Bhatt, I realized her potential when she walked into my house when she was 9 years old for a small role of a small girl in black. When I knew that this was a great actor that has walked into my house, instinct, and just what I saw in the eyes. And when we tried to work in Inshallah and didn't fall into place, she was heartbroken. The day was a chance to work with Sanjay, and I thought I had a chance to work with a new actor after a long time, and I had wanted to make a film with her then. So when we worked, when Inshallah didn't happen, we were both heartbroken. But when Gangubai happened, I didn't realize I was working with. I knew I was working with a good actor, but I didn't know I was working with such a good actor. That whole performance that she's in the film, she has lived that role as much as I've lived Gangu. I've lived Gangubai, the film, like I've lived my life. I've given it every minute of my thought from morning to night to, even during the lockdown, I would memorize the entire film, rerun the whole one line every day, systematically, and then spontaneously say, I want to do this or listen to some song. And she also lived it through the lockdown and didn't let it go. And I was working with an actor who said, you're my director, I'll go along with you, I'll stand by you, I will prove you that you were right, and you'll be proud of me. And I think I'm extremely proud of the Indian industry having an actor like Alia. And what was the first question?
Which scene in Gangubai Kathiawadi is your favorite?
Every scene. I mean, Gangubai was the most difficult film I've made in my life because it was walking the line, it was walking the thin line. Anything that can go wrong as it is not a very, very mainstream subject, and therefore to be able to make a film and yet not be insensitive and yet be sensitive and yet reach every line, every dialogue. Every time I put the frame and composed the shot, everyone was difficult. So, but if I would say the most difficult one that I thought had to be right was the first time she comes to the door and stands when she is forced into prostitution. And the first time she comes and stands. If I had gotten that scene wrong, then nothing would have worked. So that was a very important one, and the phone call to the mother. Because I put it onto one shot, and Alia was like, are you serious that I have to do this in one shot? And I said, yes, because if I cut, it will not be the same. It will not reach the people of the extent of nerves of hearing your mother's voice, right up to the operator coming and disconnecting your phone. If I cut and put, it will never work. And for her to do that in one shot, incredible. So these two were the last procession, which is again a very, very important to celebrate Gangubai.
Yeah, that's true.
That woman would have otherwise been lost and forgotten into oblivion, obviously because she was in the brothels and she didn't matter to anybody or civil society at all. There we celebrated her and said, this is your process will continue in our minds. So that was a very difficult one. That's the climax of the film. It's a 7 minute of without dialogue, only on music and a little voiceover to hold a climax of the film. So few people thought that I was out of my head to say that's the climax of the film, but I think that tribute will remain etched in my mind. And then that Garba Dholida shot, the climax, which I thought of the Garba and I said, I don't know how will we achieve that trance or that catharsis of this woman who misses her mother, and therefore she's worshipping the mother goddess, and therefore she feels that she's now become the mother to all these women. There were so many subtexts to it and layers, and when she performed and got it, oh my God, I told Alia, I said, this is the shot that I'll take to my grave, because that is what an actor does. Complete abandon, complete liberation, complete generation of generating power, which is so rare to see on the screen. So, and how it reached the people. So these are some of the most difficult, and I think the whole film. So I can go on and on.
No, definitely. So, talking about her performance, I think it's such a nuanced performance. Each time you'll see it, there are more nuances that you can find from it. जैसे आप, I think no one knows better about music than you. So in classical music, there's this element of shrutiyan, sub notes which are there, and that is something that we are seeing, that she's hitting those notes. And one aspect that I can just mention to you is her voice modulation. The way she says, like "Aakhir mein that bhai," or like even apart from that, the way many a times the way she's modulating her voice, it is brilliant.
She has picked up a lot of my language. I would normally say "Lana bhai." So this is my language in the office or when I'm operating. When I'm doing an interview, I'm far more well behaved and I speak very properly. But otherwise, that's my language, and that's the language we gave Gangu, and she would watch me. And then she knew when to use bhai. By the time we were doing it, she knew when to use that word and how to use it and what is the how is it going to connect with the word bhai and that. So she found a lot of those nuances which are, and she's an artist who is who's unaware of that moment. When she's doing a lot of shrutis that you're talking of, those nuances between the two lines or the two looks and those that add to the entire effect of what she's trying to say. I had once asked Lataji, I said, Lataji, that one song you took, that one place which is very nice, वो जगह आपने ली, बहुत अच्छी थी वो कला. से कहाँ मालूम, वो तो उसको गाते गाते ले ली, वो तो आमद होती है, वो तो आती है, ले गा लिया. कोई बताया नहीं जाता, कुछ इंस्टिंक्ट है कि कैसे फ्लो में स्ट्रक्चर करके वो जब नाउ इज द राइट टाइम टू टेक दैट वन लिटिल मूवमेंट व्हिच इफ द को-सिंगर डजंट नो और the music director doesn't know, and that is why that's how a singer or an actor contributes in his own way to the shot or to a song. So she is that accomplished actor who understands naturally. You will ask her to analyze it, I don't think she'll know what to say. Half the time she's been aware of all the good things, and sometimes when I get happy I give her 500 ka note and say, ye 500 ka note bahut acha shot diya. Obviously it's just a way of saying 500 ka note, and I never gave her the 500 ka note. It's all accumulated and piled up in my account, but my way of saying that that moment, but I think she's mostly unaware because she flows, and that is an actor that matters to me. I don't like actors who are studied and prepared and preparing for a role, and I'm going to now give it a shot and I'm going to do this. Just come. The director said, do it. You're ready to do anything, anytime, because you've understood the character in its entirety. For you to get up in the middle of the night and say, come and say this dialogue, and it would just flow. I'm not prepared for this scene. I want to prepare for this scene. All this hogwash that a lot of actors, sometimes you hear from people. Alia is one actor who just is liberating, and for the director, because I feel I can do anything with her. I can just suddenly say, let's do this, and she'll just suddenly get up and start doing it for you. So those nuances that you talk about, those are God's gift. Those you cannot analyze. And
So Urvashi, each and every frame in Gangubai was so beautiful that I can take screenshot and use on my laptop as background pic. How do you do this? Have you thought anything about your new film, sir? How long will we have to wait? So she's saying that every frame she can take a screenshot and place it.
Frame for me is sacrosanct. If you do not have a visual sense, then you should not be a filmmaker, because you have to tell your thing. I may not be articulate. There could be many other people who do this interview far better than I would do and speak so well and layered and all that. But my language is that of the film. So when I speak through the film, how do I express what that scene is going to say through the frame? Therefore, if the first time she's sitting and painting herself in the brothel, when the girls are all sitting on the bench, that composition, that choreography of how to place people, that is a lot of importance I give it to it. And what color? We painted the background, that whole, we waited for 3 hours for it to dry, put the wallpaper which was torn and all that, we wanted it that way. And how to construct that one shot, I don't know if you remember the first time she's sitting and putting powder on the face.
Of course.
Now that frame is one of my favorite frames. And I went, that was the first shot of the film we took. And every frame after that mattered to me, because it had to be like a painting and the impressions of what my childhood, I remember Kamatipura as going to school every day through those lanes. So it was my watercolor impressions of my mind, which is cinematically inclined, to find that frame and say, yeah, I think I got the mood and the color and the clothes hanging. Each cloth that was hanging was placed with the color designed to see how the door in front of which it is hanging is correctly placed. How each blouse is worn. Every artist that would stand together, we would take 2 hours to finally pick the whole combination, because that would eventually turn around to make it a painting. And and in the palette that we've chosen for the film. Then obviously Sudeep does great lighting and he's such a fantastic cinematographer. He lights, so Shubhroto and Amit doing great art behind. So when you make a film, there is such wonderful talent standing by you and executing your vision. But yes, for me, frame is extremely sacrosanct. So if you do not have a visual language and do not tell your scene through one shot without having to cut to 5 other shots and 5 other dialogues, then I think you're finding the rhythm as a filmmaker. If you look at the frames of all the great filmmakers way behind Asif, and they're all paintings, they're all frames which they were filmmakers. So that is very important.
This is Karan from Delhi. Will we see SLV collaborating with Salman Khan, as inshallah got shelved? Is there any chance for you both coming together again in future?
Salman is a very dear friend, and I wanted to work with him after Padmavat. I put my best foot forward to make it happen. For whatever reasons, it didn't turn out. We all change as people. So he has changed. In his mind, I have changed. So I think the day we find, of course, if I pick up the phone and talk to him, he will talk to me exactly the way we've spoken in between also. He'll talk to me exactly from where we've left. So it's not picking up a relationship, or we are strangers, or we do not like each other, or we do not speak to each other. My utmost regard and respect for the person who did Khamoshi for me, who did Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam for me, and who stood by in Savariya. So he's been a very, very important part of who I am today, and I will always respect him for it. That the ball is in his court for him to decide if he wants to work with me. And if it's God willing, inshallah, agar chahiye to, agar hona hai to hoga wo.